Actually, ma'am, my question is regarding internet addiction. Ma'am, my question is that how can we deal with internet addiction of students living in institutions or hostels, because they do not have anyone who can control them. So that's why they maybe have low motivations to study or things like this.
The world is facing the crisis of substance addiction, and in the same quantity, we are going to face the crisis of behavioral addiction. And internet addiction is, if we just look at the patterns of internet addiction, what makes internet addictive? So one is basically the social media, and second is the pornography, as we discussed yesterday. So it's all about, this is more like a kind of a emotional issue, the lack of healthy relationships in a child's life, or the lack of good social relationships, or inability to form healthy bonds with others. So when a child is lonely, so it's like, if you want to go to the roots, if you want to trace it, so it's more to do with the person's loneliness. A lot of lonely people, they enter into the social media addiction, and as it was discussed earlier, finding friends online, spending time with them online, chatting with people, chatting with strangers, and watching porn, or just going through these online shopping sites, and so on and so forth. So the basic thing which it is about, one thing is loneliness. They are very lonely, and second is they have low self-esteem, and the third, I would say, a person who does not of course this will be covered in the part of self-esteem only, the lack of love for your own self, which we fail to inculcate in a kid, because we as a society, we've never been trained this way. Our parents have always asked us to look beyond ourselves, help others, do something for others, and don't focus too much on your own self, because that is considered as being selfish. If you groom yourself well, if you spend time for yourself, if you care for yourself, if you develop interest, or if you just want to do something, do those activities which enhance your own personality, you might be labeled as a person who is selfish, and all the time being concerned about one's own following one's own pursuits and all, and not caring for others, and so on and so forth. So if we just go to the bottom line, so it's about two things: self-esteem or self-love, I'll call them one, and second is loneliness. So right from the very beginning, we have to inculcate hobbies, inculcate lot of interest in the kids, and keep them involved in things that boost their sense of self, keep them reinforcing about their skills and boost their confidence, encourage them to explore more, rather than just kind of hiding themselves in one safe secure zone where they are happy, and there's nobody to challenge them, and they get accepted, and nobody's kind of challenging their identity, or they are there's no threat to just being a kind of a silent person in the world. So they are happy being invisible. So right from, as like, if we have to work it from the ground level in terms of child rearing, or encouraging healthy interest in the children. So first of all, I think as parents, as counselors, we have to make sure that apart from academics, the children are involved in a number of activities, whether it is sports, it is extracurricular activities, music, learning languages, exploring the world, traveling, writing. So get the kids involved in number of activities so that they don't feel lonely. And on the way, because of being associated with in those activities, they build relationships. Like if a kid is going for football, definitely he will make friends there. If a kid has got a music as a hobby, definitely he will find the kid will find friends there. So we have to inculcate interest in the child, interest or liking for particular activities. That doesn't come as, you know, as a one time thing, something dawning upon you suddenly. We have to find out the spark in the kid, that what my child's energy is like, what his personality is like, and what kind of activities he enjoys to do. So as parents, we have to discover that spark, and introduce the kids to those activities and keep working ourselves. It's not easy for the parents to accompany the sport every day and sit there and keep watching the kid and bringing the kid back and again then doing other things and all. So as parents, there's a lot of responsibility, keeping the kid involved in many activities, many things, and then
Sure.
developing the self-esteem of the child. So these two things are important at the very rudimentary level. Then when these kids, they come to college, or when they come to hostels, so we have to design those activities. So obviously we have to give them their academics and deliver the courses if they're in engineering or they're in laws or whatever. But at the same time, if we want that our youngsters should not kill themselves, if you see the suicide statistics of youngsters in India, every hour there is one suicide by a student in India. India is the suicide capital of the world and highest number of suicide by young people. And I just talk about it some time back, that in even in IITs people are killing themselves. So education for academics, for preparing them to be engineers or to lawyers or pharmacists, everything for doctors, that is important. But at the same time, it is very important that we keep on touching upon social emotional learning of the kid, and it has to become mandatory that these kids who are away from their parents, who are living in hostels and coming from various ethnicities, various cultures, family backgrounds, and have a lot of baggage on their minds. Somebody worrying about the parents back home, somebody had just had a breakup, or somebody is looking for a friendship, somebody is dissatisfied with their body. So many complexes on their minds. So it is very important, it becomes the duty of the educational institutions to have at least 1 hour with the students every day, where they learn about very important life skills. These are the very relevant life skills of this century. Had it been maybe 40 years back, people would have say, oh, at this age, do you need somebody to tell you that you have to be happy, you have to learn to do this or this, and that's what you have to do to maintain your mental health? Are we so weak? But no, we have to do it, otherwise we will keep losing our kids. So we need to have classes, we need to have modules, we need to have more and more counselors in these educational institutions, in these engineering colleges and all the institutions where the kids are away from the family. Otherwise they will either become internet addicts or they will become drug addicts. So it will be just addiction everywhere, and ultimately suicides. So healthy psychosocial development of the children, especially the children who are away from the families, has to take place, and keeping them engaged, developing their linkages with the rest of the world, and keeping them rightfully occupied, giving them tasks uh, which are compelling them to come out in the real world, making certain activities compulsory, making certain activities very joy, and at the same time very joyful also. So this is the, I think this is has to be done at the war footing by all the educational institutions. And you don't need many counselors for this. I think one counselor can do it, and the senior students, they can work as peers. Now whole world is talking about something called the peer support, the peer leaders, the seniors in the colleges, the final year students in the colleges, whom you think that yes, these are the children who can guide others, they can be mentors. Peer mentorship is what the whole world is talking about. The senior students can be the junior students can be attached to the senior students, like 10 of them can be attached to one group, and that particular student, their mentor, will make sure that there's a right balance in their life, and they are involved in all the activities and not just sitting in one corner of their room and exploring all their identities and getting into a very dark world of web. So peer mentorship is very important, which I just attended a few months back. I attended a training at NIMHANS, and that's what we are trying to we are going to introduce this on our campus as well, where it's been done very successfully in case of suicide prevention, in case of drug abuse. So we're going to practice this on our campus once this lockdown is over. So you can look for peer mentorship modules and get in touch with NIMHANS, where they're providing all these support for youth mental health and all.
Next one is Dr. Silpa. Yes.
Hello, am I
Hello.
audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, good evening,
Good
ma'am.
evening.
Shilpa
Oh,
Modi this
Shilpa.
side.
Yes, Shilpa. I think I know you.
Yes. Yeah, ma'am, you do. So, ma'am, as we see, online teaching, learning, and practices is at peak right now. But
Yeah.
in the upcoming days, students will rely more on the online classes. So, the one-to-one classroom relationships and that emotional attachment with students will decrease. They will rely more on online classes. They will not attend the classes. So, how should we deal with this problem?
Uh, Shilpa, I would say that online teaching has different results depending upon the age of the learners, the mental level of the learners, and the motivation of the learners, and the kind of course which you are doing. So it's not that this formula is, you can say that you can trust this formula and it will give good results for everybody. For a kid who is more than average in intelligence, the kid who is motivated, the kid who is a sharp learner can gain from it. But for the general people, for the ordinary kids who need to be who need the teacher's attention, the teacher's body language has to be involved in the teaching, the eye contact, and the kids who lose attention, the teachers, there's so many kids, like if you see the statistics which are given by CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and WHO, which they say that 1 in 5 kids in the school they are having mental health problems. So what do you do with these kind of kids which the teachers can identify? And these are the kids who actually make the teachers works so hard. The teacher does not have to do a lot of work for the kids who are brilliant. In any case, they are going to do everything on their own. Like a kid who's above average in intelligence, the teacher does not need to spend any energy on that, and be it inside the classroom or online, that kid will be fine. But actual the teaching is for the last kid in the class, the child who has some special needs, the kid who is academically weak or who is not motivated enough. So that is what the teaching has to always focus upon. A teaching is not about teaching the brightest kid. Teaching is about the last kid, as I said earlier, the weakest link in the chain. This is what we have to do, and I do not agree that we can do anything like this. We can handle such kids, the kids with special needs, the kids with learning disabilities. It is not possible at all. We need to interact with them. So if we just want to keep on repeating things to the brilliant ones, to the brightest ones, so that is fine. They won't even need a teacher. There are so many online modules available. They will keep doing it on their own. But we are dealing with human beings, we are dealing with the society, and we are dealing with all kinds of people in the society. So for that, we need real life.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Yes, Dr. Veena. Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, ma'am. How are you?
Good evening.
Ma'am, can you enlighten us about moral intelligence?
Pardon?
Can you enlighten us regards to moral intelligence? Because I think apart from the emotional intelligence, moral intelligence plays an important role for adolescents to know what is good and what is bad.
Ma'am, I think the human biology can explain a lot. The neuroscientists, the people who are working in the area of brain development, they are now they're saying that before the age of 25, like the brain is developing from back to front, and till the age of 25, you are not in a position to take wise and sane decisions for yourself, because the areas of the brain which are responsible for making correct decisions, they are not fully functional, not fully developed yet. So if you have survived 25 years, if you have taken risks, been involved in a number of activities which could have landed you in trouble, but you somehow survived those activities, you can say that it was your good luck, your good destiny that you could survive it. But by the age of 25 only, then you are in a capacity to take right, sane decisions for yourself. So this is what I always tell the students in my class, that till 25, even if you are thoroughly you are convinced about it, about certain things in your life, some very important decisions in your life, like getting married or getting involved in relationships, or deciding about between career or studies or job, what to do, shifting places of residence. So these are like major issues which they're always undecided about. They're always in a dilemma. So I always tell them that please don't trust yourself. It is good to know about your mind, it is good to know about your identity, but till the age of 25, always tell them that please have good discussion with your seniors, with your parents, with your teachers, because you might be thinking from one perspective which might convince you, but actually might not be wise enough. So a lot of work in the area of neurobiology is going on, which is telling that the kids actually are not in a very right cognitively, they are not developed yet to take the right decisions, and that we have to pass this message to the kids. And I've always been doing it even to the university students, that okay, believe in yourself, but at the same time always keep some scope for discussion with your seniors, with your parents. You need them biologically, you need them to make the right decisions.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Harun, Dr. Harun. Yes. Doctor, are you there? I think we are not able to hear you. Please check your mic.
Hello.
Yes, yes.
Hello.
Yes, you can go ahead.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Harun. How are you?
Fine, ma'am.
Harun is my brainchild. He has been my PhD scholar. Yes.
Ma'am,
Yes, Harun, what is your question?
my question is how to bring adolescent back to physical games instead of online games.
Yes.
I think, Harun, you've been trained for 6-7 years by me to answer this question. I would like
Yes,
you to answer this question.
yes.
Because Harun is an expert in this field. His MPhil and his PhD has been on this area more than me. Harun, you yourself can give an answer. So I would like to hear this from you first. Why don't you illuminate us on this issue? Do you want to, or should I pick up? Okay, so Harun, as we've been studying in our researches also, that how do we introduce the kids to physical activity? Harun's MPhil was on physical inactivity in adolescence, and the biggest finding of the study was keeping in mind the Bandura's model, that the kids will do what we do, not what we say. So the parents who themselves were physically active, and the parents who were doing something for their physical health every day, and they encourage kids to participate in their physical activities. So physical activities is not just we're talking about very structured physical activities like gymming or golfing or swimming or anything. Any physical activity that makes them active, like gardening or taking care of other things in the household, or mowing your lawn or cleaning the house, and maybe light walking. So we have different levels of physical activity, from mild to moderate to intense. So the moral of the story is that the parents who are themselves physically active, and they encourage the children to participate on these activities, the children are going to follow the parents, not what you say. Actually what you practice, your kid is going to do that. And like the parents who always say that our kid is always on the mobile, he's always playing. So one thing I can always say with 100% conviction, that if a parent says, okay kid, let's go out for cycling, let's cycle together, or let's go out and play football, there won't be one single kid who will say, no, I don't want to go. So the parents have to take the lead. They have to introduce the kid by their own right behavior and by actual practice.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Saujanya, ma'am. I think we're not. Yes, yes.
Is that convincing, Harun?
and fruitfully information for society.
I
Yes.
could not, I missed that part, Harun. I missed that part.
Yes. Ma'am, you can go ahead.
Okay.
Saujanya, ma'am?
Actually, so many mics are on, so.
Yeah, yes. There is one person I have told her. Ma'am, I think please check your mic, ma'am. It is not audible.
My mic is not audible?
No, yours is clear, ma'am. That
Okay.
another person. No, there is a,
So is there any more question?
yes, he's there. I think there is a network issue, I think, with her mobile.
Okay, we can have the other one in the queue.
Yes, yes. Arun came there. Yes, Mr. Sankar Narayanan. Are you there? Yes, Mr. Sankar. Sankar? Yeah, I think they are disconnected. I think one more person would like to ask a question. They are having technical issue, I think, ma'am. Anis, Mr. Anis. Mr. Anis, are you there? Yes.
So what are all the measures that I take as an individual so that I can protect myself from the cyber bullying or from the hackers? What are the measures that I can take to protect myself?
Okay, first of all, one thing is we're talking about being safe online. So first thing is the time. Try to reduce the time. As I said yesterday, the more the time we spend on the internet, the more likely we are going to get into some trouble. So limit your time. And the number two is don't make your profiles very public, and we don't need to put everything on display to the people. And for the kids especially, we always guide the kids that you should not post pictures of yourself in school uniform. You should not share your locations, and you should not tell people where you are right now, because there have been so many cases linked to actual security issues have popped up because of these things. Then another thing which I always talk about is netiquettes, which they say, like, as we have etiquettes in our daily life, similarly we have netiquettes, which means that let's not post something which does not qualify in the category of being polite, and something which we cannot say to somebody in the real life on the face. Let's not say all that on the internet, and let's not react to things, because there might be people who would provoke you, who would try to irritate you. Let's not give them back suddenly. Let's try to take a minute to respond to what is being said to us online. And in case somebody is troubling us, one thing we always tell the kids is that take a snapshot of it. And the bystanders, the cyber bystanders, they have a very big role to play. They can always discourage such bullies if they know that in one particular group, one person is being targeted. Those people, let's be brave enough to come to the rescue of a person who is being targeted, who is being laughed at, or who is being ridiculed. So as cyber bystanders, as good Samaritans, we can always tell the other person that you are being rude, or you are not being polite to this person. This needs to stop. You need to mend your language. So as good bystanders, we have to protect not only the respect of the other person, but at the same time we are creating a chain of people in the cyber world who actually know their rights. And and just like the butterfly effect, it's slowly the message goes to the entire cyber world, all the netizens, that being kind, being polite, and posting just the material which is actually necessary and which is required, that is the need of the hour, not just everything you do, everything you say. Then not falling a trap into these kind of we are often tempted to open emails which promise something, or to click on the links. And let's not open those links which are just asking for unnecessary things. Like on the Facebook, you see so many links like, what were you in your previous life? how would you look after 40 years, and which celebrity you look like. So why are we interested in such links? Because ultimately they are leading us to hackers, and they will steal our data, and they will steal all our information, all our data, and it will be passed on to God knows how many people this will go on to. So, and let's not try to fall into the trap of very persuasive emails. Like so many tarot card readers, they keep on sending emails. For example, there's one Tara who is sending emails to people that I had a vision about you. There's one email by a group by Padri. He's always sending emails. I have seen certain things for you. You contact me. You click on this button. So all these things are actually leading us to trouble. And then just as we say that when we get a parcel from unknown people in the house, we don't open it, right? So this is what we always been taught, that don't open parcels from unknown people. There could be a bomb inside. Like that's how our parents trained us. There could be anything. So similarly, opening up emails from unknown senders, or from when we get to know that it's a bulk mail, it's a spam, let's not explore it. So that's how we can keep ourselves safe, and then not people. And most importantly, what I always have been telling the kids, not to go and meet somebody in real life whom you have just met online, or whom you don't know in reality. The kids, the adolescents, the teenagers, they should refrain, and they should avoid meeting such people, and not to share any of your photographs, any of your personal details with any people online, because as I said earlier, there could be a lot of cyber predators. So these are few things which we can practice as net hygiene.
Ma'am, yes.
Ma'am, one question.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I?
Yes, please.
Yes, ma'am. Mostly these adolescents want, they seek privacy, and they don't allow the parents to monitor their phones or anything. They resist. In fact, they resist checking what they are doing and all. And mostly they'll be watching porn. And one more thing is, they'll be asking for nude pics and all from their girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever it is. So how to handle these cases?
Ma'am, it's all about education, education, and education. As parents, we what we can do is sometime, because the kid cannot be alert all the time. So randomly, we can see the history of the search history of the kids, and what the child is doing, because it's very important. A lot of we can get to know what is going on in the child's life. We need to keep a vigil on that. Then you keep noticing the changes in child's personality, child's behavior, and they can be the red flags where you can be cautioned that okay, the child is now losing interest in all the other things which he was earlier doing, or his academics are falling down, his academic achievement is dipping, or the child is spending more time alone, he's avoiding friends, avoiding all the activities which were once loved. Like we can get to know whether the child is being blackmailed, he's being abused, he's being depressed. So basically we have to work on we have to look into the things that is this particular thing harming the kid or not. So that is, as a parent, that should be always alarming us, because kids do many things, and we can even consider it as a part of their identity exploration. So we cannot just have a blanket ban on everything, but we need to have a gold standard against which to measure that yes, this was the child's performance, or this was the child's lifestyle, or this was the child's personality earlier, but now we can see certain changes. So if you spot certain changes, then the parents need to really work on that. And then about the second issue about sharing nude pictures, and this is very common. Even grown up women, they have entered, they have messed up their lives, they have ruined their future prospects of getting married and all because of this sharing. If like, we have to keep educating the kids that okay, your boyfriend today or your girlfriend today might be honest and sincere to you today, but in case there've been cases where the phone went to a repair shop, and we have to inform the kids that once something is online, It is always online. You might delete it from your folder, from your chat, from your hard drive, everything. But there's something called digital footprinting. Once a thing is on the cyberspace, it lives forever, forever, and forever. So the kids have to be educated about this, that what you do, you have to learn to live with the consequences. You have to live with the consequences of what you are doing, and you would be very lucky if you escape from that. Otherwise, you have to pay a price for everything you do. And that's how we can train our kids through various ways, by being polite, with love, with compassion, with little strictness, but at the same time trying to keep a nice balance between the things, so that our kids don't retaliate, or they just stop listening to us and keep us labeling as people who are backward, or who are very regressive in their mindsets and all. So we have to basically learn to talk to the kids in the right way, not hurt them, not hurt their self-esteem, but at the same time educating them about the realities.
Yeah, right answer, ma'am. And we are having
Thank
the
you,
last,
ma'am. Thank you.
we are having the last question from Dr. Giridhar.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yes. So you can ask.
Good evening, madam.
Good evening, sir.
This is Girdhar from Sankara University, Kanchipuram,
Yes, sir.
and professor for the teaching psychology as well as special education. And I'm the counselor for the entire university for the students. And I used to face the problems with the students while counseling. The ventilating of the problems while they're facing the problems with opposite sex because of already some of the people raised the question nude photos and asking the nude picture pics, all these things. How I have to inform to the parents? That is my problem. Informing to parents also big risk to me, not to me, to the child. At the same time, if I inform to the HOD or other faculty, that also leading the problem to the counseling. So how to handle this problem? Sometimes I'm getting lot of problem. So if I inform to parents, parents will come and take their child from the university. That is one thing. If I inform to the HOD or concerned faculty, they are taking action. And if I inform to the warden, at the same time, again the problem will come. So it is a problem to me. I want some tips from you, counseling tips.
Okay. Sir, for these are very sensitive, delicate issues, and for handling such cases, we need to have some committee in the university where a law expert has to be roped in, because there have been cases where girls have been later blackmailed by the boys, and ultimately the case has to be resolved with the intervention of the police, with the legal help and all. So you need to have a lawyer, because once the child has attained the age of 16, and the juvenile act has now been changed, and so you need to involve the lawyers also in this thing, keeping in mind the harm, the extent of the harm which has been done to the girl, or is it like complained by the girl herself, or it has just come to your notice. So all these things have to be taken into account. But legal issues have to be, you cannot just turn a blind eye to the legal issues, because there are legal issues involved. And there have been cases in Chandigarh where the boy, he was sentenced to 3 years because he had spread all these nude pictures of the girl, his chat history, all their intimate moments to others, and he was even stopping her or coming as an obstacle in her future relationships. So legal aspects cannot be kind of, you cannot just ignore them, and you have to act as a professional in a way that people who are into this is a crime. Actually, this is a crime.
And that's okay. How to inform to the parents first? I have to inform to the parents. If I inform to the parents, that will take some action towards the student. They may take back the child from the university. And the majority of the students are out of the state. They are not from Tamil Nadu. And it will hamper their education.
I think you have adult students in your colleges, and as adults, we can the kids can be talked about whether the parents need to be involved or not. something that can be handled at the kids level, because they are adults. We can involve them in decision making. Some sort of their consent has to be taken in mind, because they are adults. So all these things do not need to be brought to the notice of the parents unless and until there's a legal angle to it. If it's just an emotional issue, it can be resolved at the child's level. It's a something which is troubling the child emotionally, so that for that the counselor is good enough. But if it's a legal issue, then I think, because a lot of responsibility lies in the hostel warden, because they are the guardians there, they are the legal guardians there for the kid. So in that case, the parents need to be informed. They need to be informed for counseling and for other because sir, if we see the cases of domestic violence and violence against women, it becomes a matter of great concern that the families of these women who have been bullied or who have been troubled by these ex-boyfriends, these ex-boyfriends do so much harm. Within 1 year of being found out or being punished or being brought to task, they have physically harmed these girls. So in that cases, I think the families need to know what the girl is going through, because a lot of world statistics, it is evident that these men who have been punished by law for violating women's rights or for troubling her, they get back to the women and try to physically harm the girl or the woman or their ex-girlfriend or their ex-partner. So in that case, I think it is important to bring it to the notice of the parents. But if it is just an emotional issue, then you need to just give counseling to the kid. But to prevent or to safeguard the girls' security in the coming times also, and keeping in mind what their pattern is like, so the parents need to be informed. And I think we don't need to be so sensitive about this thing. Whatever is fact is fact, whatever is reality is reality. Now the child has to learn to live with that reality, and that's how they learn eventually how to be safe in the coming times. That's what I've always been telling to the kids here, and which I've been emphasizing earlier in the discussions also, that you have to keep telling a child that you have to learn to live with the consequences. Now you face the consequences of this thing also. So
Yes.
one bad decision can ruin your life, and it can kind of disturb the entire balance of your life. So keeping in mind the physical safety of the girl, keeping in mind the legal issues, I think the parents need to be informed.
Ma'am, actually, hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Yeah, I think we are having less than a minute. I take this to record my sincere gratitude to you. What a energy, ma'am, for both the sessions. You have given answers to all the questions in a different perspective, different persons, and different aspects. I really amazed about your answering session. And we would like to have few more sessions on that mental health and well-being, ma'am. Thank you so much for accepting.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to all the participants also.
Thank you.
Thank you all participants. We'll meet again in another meeting.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. It was lovely interaction.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes.